Hello fellow T-Jetters. This is going to be the first in a series of videos on building a T-Jet. And the first video here that I'm going to go through is just an introduction to some tools that are used to work on T-Jets, build and maintain. So let me just start going through all these one at a time here. Some of these are pretty much mandatory, that if you're going to be serious about building anything, you're going to need some. Other ones fairly optional. At the end I'll show you some that you may not need, but you might need to know somebody that has one, that kind of thing. So first of all, you need some sort of wheel puller. What I have here is a Scale Engineering wheel puller. It works really nice. I would guesstimate, I'll try to throw guesstimations of prices out there. I don't really know these off the top of my head, but that's probably about a $30 part right there. And basically this screw just is used to remove a wheel from the axle. Next up, this is a wheel press. This is an RTHO brand wheel press. I really like the RTHO products. And you'll see I have quite a few of his tools. This one comes with several different size anvils to use for different size wheels. This one's a pretty big one, like a Frey wheel. Here's the one, I think this is the 1/8 inch diameter anvil that's used for a lot of the stock T-Jet wheels. And this protrusion here fits right inside the wheel. And the next up, this is a gear press, also by RTHO, and that's got an anvil to receive the gear down here in the end. That's hollowed out on the inside. Maybe make that out. They come for all different size stock T-Jet type gears. This is a 14 tooth here. This one's sized for a 24 tooth, so that's that rear gear on the cluster shaft. This is one that's sized for a 9 tooth. That's the bottom gear on the bottom of the top plate. And then there's also one here that I never use, but it's for a 12 tooth. That's for like a hop-up gear, but I don't know if I've ever used this thing. Anyway, that's a very nice tool, and make sure those gears go on nice and square and with good control instead of just hammering them on. So use this tool right, and the gears always go on straight. They're not all wobbly on you. That's important. Okay, I'll put those away. Now, another important tool. I'm kind of skipping around a little bit, but this is a COM tool to clean off the COM, and has a sanding disc on top, say an 800 grit that sticks to the top, the hole in the middle to receive the armature shaft, and you just put this on an arm and you can clean up the COM. I've got a couple of different hole peener tools. Working on stock T-Jets, these aren't all that important, although it's nice to be able to close up holes if they're really loose, like the axle holes in the chassis. If they're really loose, you want to tighten those up a little, so that they're just controlled in some way, so they're not super sloppy. But this one's made by Wizard, and that goes for, I don't know, $30, $25, $30. There's another one that's made by RTHO. It's basically the same thing as his gear press, but it comes with a peener knob at the end instead of a tool to push on a shaft. Another thing you're going to need is a tech block, and this is just to set cars on top of while you're working on them, in case you're trying to check flatness or alignment. Also, of course, your car has to fit inside that for a what you call a Pro T-Jet or a Super Stock or a Frey car. This is a 1.31 tech block. Other size tech blocks are available. Here's another one that I got from JW's many years ago. I think that's about a 1-incher. So it's got several different features. But basically, you need one of these just to set up stuff. Let's see. Next up, this is a Scale Engineering pickup shoe setting tool, and you can put your car on top of this in these various places. And these pads here are machined to different heights. So these are 12 thousandths high. off of the block. On the other side there's 14. Of course you can flip it over, you got a 13 and a 15. So if you know what size rails you're at on a track, you can kind of set up to that. Personally, I'd usually set up for a 12 or a 13. There's a few tracks around that have really high rails, and I've used the 15 block. I think basically just at Paul's full tilt track, because his rails are really high. But yeah, I usually don't really bother setting up for that. I'll just set it for 12 or 13 and let it go. Nice piece of test track just to set your car on and check things out, make sure it's sitting square. It's nice to have. This is one I got from the guy that built my track, whose name escapes me at the moment. But anyway, that's nice. Or you can just get a piece of Tomy track, or any kind of track just to set your car on. The flatter the better, of course. I mean, you get one that's all warped. That's not helpful. This is a bit of a specialized tool. This is a Scale Engineering 9-tooth gear puller. It's only used for pulling a 9-tooth gear off of the rear shaft. So this is kind of a specialized tool. You're not going to encounter the need for this all that much. If you're serious about building freight cars where that 9-tooth does wear out, then you will need this considerable amount. But for your Monday night T-jets, stock T-jets, even pro T-jets, you're rarely changing the 9-tooth gear, so you're rarely going to need this tool. So you can know somebody that's got one, or you can just pull off the 9-tooth with the pliers and throw it in the trash and put a new one on if you want. This is a nice tool. This is a force gauge, and this is used to check your pickup shoe tension. You just basically push it on the pickup shoe, and you see that the dial moves, and you can tell how many grams of force you have on your pickup shoe. So you can use this to set your shoes at a certain number, so it's controlled, so you don't have too much force or too little force on the shoes. The number I usually shoot for on a T-Jet is somewhere around 2 grams, 1.5 to 2 grams, depending on track conditions and what kind of car it is. That's usually a pretty good setup. Obviously, you need a good set of small screwdrivers. There's a little Phillips screwdriver. Here's a little flat blade screwdriver. Nice set of tweezers. This is a nice stainless steel set, non-magnetic. It's good to have. A couple of knives. This is just a regular old little pocket knife. And here's a nice sharp X-Acto knife for cutting on things. Cleaning tools. Hey, toothpicks for adjusting things and cleaning out holes in the chassis, and Q-tips, very nice for cleaning things. I use CRC Electronics Cleaner for cleaning of electronic stuff. It cleans very nicely and dries up really quick. You need some good oil. This is Habby's oil. It's pretty good stuff. I get it from Habby in Kansas City, but there's lots of different kinds of oil you can use, as long as it's a good quality oil, mineral oil, even synthetic oil, whatever. Not too thick. You get too thick, maybe it starts bogging down. So, and you got to keep your car lubed. This is a guide pin trimmer, or guide pin height checker. And it's nice to have one of these for setting your guide pin for the track conditions. If you're running on model motoring track or Tyco track, you're probably a pretty small number, like a 120 pin stick out. If you're running on, say, one of these routed tracks like my TKO, or